Sonia Massey was in a mental health crisis. Her family had called 911 on a couple of occasions to get help. But on the night of July the 5th, Sonia Massey called to report someone was outside of her house. Sangamon County Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson answered the call. Grayson and his partner didn't find anything, but the call didn't end there. He stood on her porch asking her questions, then he entered her home. Things escalated and he threatened to shoot her in the face. Seconds later, he did. I watched the body cam video and I read the reports and I just kept asking myself, how did this go so wrong? As I began looking into Sean Grayson's background, I found that he had 2 DUI convictions within 10 years of being hired at the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office. He had been disciplined in his prior law enforcement jobs for insubordination and failure to follow a direct order. Sean Grayson wasn't the only deputy with the DUI. Sangamon County had hired another man who had been involved in a single car rollover accident while driving 3 times the legal limit with a loaded gun in the car. The reporting found there is also a state law that requires 911 calls involving people who are in a mental health crisis to receive intervention. That law has been on the books for 3 years, and it could have saved Sonia Massey's life. It has yet to go into effect.
In 2023, Borderless started looking into Chicago's largest migrant shelter, which was in a former warehouse in Pilsen. It was overcrowded and not fit for people to live in. Residents told us the food there was rotten and the shelter was a hotbed for diseases. Just days after we published our story, a young boy living in the shelter died from sepsis. We knew there was more to uncover. Our follow-up investigation in 2024 revealed that before the boy's death, Chicago officials had ignored dozens of warning signs from shelter residents and staff about dangerous conditions there.
Then, Borderless and the Investigative project teamed up to analyze over 200 formal complaints filed by migrants across 25 different shelters. Despite widespread concerns about shelter conditions, the city continued to pour hundreds of millions of dollars into a contract with a staffing company that residents say failed them. It didn't end there. Former shelter contractors gave us evidence of widespread mishandling of shelter residents' sensitive data, showing us spreadsheets with hundreds of migrants' personal information, like their phone numbers, date of birth, prescriptions, allergies, and more.
In July 2024, Deputy Sean Grayson shot and killed Sonia Massey in her home after she called police for help. Our investigation revealed that Grayson had been discharged from the Army for serious misconduct and had worked for 6 different police departments across Illinois, each time leaving behind a record of concerns. We found that misconduct allegations and disciplinary actions were often overlooked, allowing him to continue moving from agency to agency. This pattern pointed to broader issues in how Illinois tracks officer misconduct and the gaps that allow wandering officers to remain in law enforcement. 2 weeks after our first story ran, the Sangamon County Sheriff who hired Grayson resigned. The investigation also helped prompt public discussion about statewide oversight. The series provided insight into how current systems allow officers to move between departments, and how oversight mechanisms may fall short in preventing repeated misconduct.
Our investigation with Muck Rock, as part of our ongoing series, The Air We Breathe, focused on one of the top polluters in the country, a 101-year-old coal tar plant on the Stickney and Cicero border called Koppers. Before we filed FOIA, Cicero residents were already reaching out to us. They reported smokestacks, strong odors near Koppers, and on the days when the smell was especially strong, some even experienced headaches. Their concerns led us to dig deeper. Through FOIA requests, we confirmed that Koppers is among the top polluters in the U.S., emitting chemicals linked to cancer. It ranks in the top 3% of facilities nationwide for naphthalene emissions. It also falls within the top 15% of facilities emitting benzene. Koppers is the second largest emitter of phthalic and maleic anhydride in the country among facilities reporting to the EPA. Because of the relentless FOIA filings, follow-ups, and investigative work, 2 law firms took on class action lawsuits where residents organized webinars and calls around this. And State Senator Cervantes sent a letter directly to Koppers. The Illinois Attorney General began evaluating the case, and in response to growing public interest, the Illinois EPA created a resource website making 4 of Koppers' EPA violations from 2020 and to 2023 publicly accessible. Then, in December, we saw the biggest development yet. Koppers Holding Incorporation announced it would discontinue the production of phthalic anhydride at its Stickney facility by 2025. This investigation didn't just expose pollution, it empowered residents, forced action at multiple levels of government, and led to real measurable change for our community.